classification. Different classification is there. So this whole Jagat gets its being from me alone. This is from the standpoint of Swarupa Lakshana. What is the Swarupa of Brahman? Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Satchid, Ananda. From the standpoint of Atma, there is no other. There is no other Atma. That was what verse 4 said. And then verse 5 happily contradicts what verse 4 said. What does verse 5 say? Naja matsthani bhutani pashyame yogam aishwaram bhuta bhrit nacha bhutastha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. So, the verse 5 appears to contradict. What does it say? Nacha matsthani bhutani. What did verse 5 say? Matsthani bhutani. Nacha matsthani bhutani means even though I give everything its being, every single thing, I give the being to that very thing, but then what happens? What happens is that I am not connected in crafting and creating everything. Do not think that I am some kind of a creator outside of the scheme of Jagat, like a potter. You go in the morning by the potter's house and what do you see? Is a big lump of clay. And then you come back in the evening the same way. Where has all the clay gone? You don't see clay at all. What do you see? Pots, big pots, small pots, everything. Everything you see, lids and figurines made of clay, jugs and all these things you see. Yeah. If somebody is sleeping, please wake up and turn off the alarm. Yeah. So, so then this is the understanding here. So now if I am actually the creator, then I will say I have made this. You talk to the potter and you say, in the morning when I went by your house, I had to pass your house on the way to the market, and then what happened? I didn't see any pots. I saw what? Only clay. Now I come back and I see a whole lot of earthenware. And what will the potter say? I made it all. I know each and every history of each and every pot. I made it. I am the maker. But here Bhagavan doesn't say that. Bhagavan says, these things do not have their being in me. In the sense, I am not the holder of all this whole Jagat. Otherwise, there will be a duality. What kind of a duality? Maker-made duality. Adhara, adheya duality. Adhara, location. Adheya, that which is located. Or you can say Ashrita and Ashraya, same thing. Ashraya, where is it taking refuge? The world is taking refuge in Bhagavan when you say that in is a very, as though in. It's mithya. If world was really taking refuge in Bhagavan, then our theology would be very close to the Western theology. God made the world. And where is he now? Heaven. And why is it a he? Don't ask. He is formless. So why should it matter? So it's a he and he is sitting in heaven. Then of course the next question should be, why did God make a nice heaven, air-conditioned heaven for himself and then leave me to this world? So this dicey question of the creator created is a very sticky situation in each and every religion. In each and every religion this question is asked. Why is God away from the universe? And this world is not easy to live in. It has all kinds of duality. Duality is equal to conflict, strife, sorrow, and up and down, changes and hierarchies. Someone is low, someone is high, somebody has money, somebody doesn't have money. All this comprises the universe. And what kind of a creation did this God make? God threw me into this creation and washed his hands off. I am not part of this, I am away. That is not the purport of this verse. In every religion, this kind of a dicey situation exists, even with the Dvaita Mata, Dvaita Darshana, in our own tradition. Lord is where? Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha. Why did you go away there and leave me with this Kuntha? We have to ask. Yeah. That's why it's called Vaikuntha. Why is there Kuntha for me? This is the question. Kuntha means paritapa. That didn't help. What is paritapa? Suffering. Yeah. Suffering and questions, unanswered questions, all are there. So why is there this Kuntha for me, and for you some wonderful some wonderful reprieve is there for you, and for me nothing is there? Why? This is the question that comes in each and every religion when you posit a God that is separate from this universe. A God that is separate from this universe, a concept of a God that is separate from this universe cannot be limitless. Why? Because anything that one is separate from delimits that limitless. If there is a God and separate, then that limitlessness of that God competes with the universe. So that separation cannot be there. Yet I cannot say God has become the universe, because then if God has become the universe, there is no more God. And that just feels odd. So therefore, I can't say Bhagavan is outside the universe. I cannot say Bhagavan is in the universe. There's only one more explanation that is possible, and that is all that we have to go with. And what is that explanation? The universe must be non-separate from God when God transcends the universe. And the difference between the God and universe, the God that we discussed, the God that is posited by the Veda and the universe, is one is Mithya, Ishvara and the universe. What's the connection? One is Mithya, another is Satyam. Which is Satyam? Abba, thank God, yes. So, Ishvara Satyam, Jagan Mithya. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. Somebody wrote. A very happy and author showed off, a Jnani shows off his knowledge, and he says, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Jiva is Brahman. Jagat is what? Brahman. Na aparaha. Brahman is Satyam. Everything Jagat is Mithya, and Jiva is Brahman. Not any other thing Jiva is. Jiva is Brahman. Brahman here is Ishvara. And then in the next shloka, he gloats and he says, Ardha shlokena pravakshyami yaduktam grantha kotibhihi. Look, y'all, I have explained everything, the whole vision of Vedanta in half a shloka. Because only first line is half shloka, like even in the Bhagavad Gita. Anushtup meter, 32 syllables, 16 in one line, 16 in the other line. Samavritta means it should be the same. And so therefore, in 16 syllables I have explained the whole vision, which even 16 crore books struggle to explain. So this is all that has to be known, and that all is quite a big headful of understanding. The head has to be turned around to get this understanding, and all notions disbanded. Because the first question that comes when we say Jagat is Mithya, then that means, then the people will ask, is the Jagat an illusion? Yes or no? Yes. Whoever said yes, come and see me after lunch. No, it's not an illusion, because illusion means only some few people can see. Everybody, we are all interacting with the Jagat. And so it's not an illusion. Illusion is subjective. Is the Jagat subjective or objective? Objective, because I can see the Jagat. I can interact with you. I can interact with other people. I can interact with the trees. I can go for a walk on the river. And I can do all kinds of things. So that means there is some kind of an objective thing that is there. So-called objective Jagat exists because we all experience it and we see things together. But yet, to call it Satyam is not, it's not worthy of being called Satyam because it is not self-standing. That's why it is Mithya. Only thing that is not self-standing is Mithya. If we count everything, all the things that are not self-standing will be here for 3 lifetimes and still we will not finish the list. So therefore what? What is there that is? The only thing that is self-standing is what? Ishvara, Brahman, you. Oh, that's 3 things. No, it's all one thing. Not 3 things. Only one thing it is. Only one thing it is. And therefore, this is what has to happen. This is what has to be understood. And everything else is not self-standing. I am the I consciousness, Satchidananda. I am the only thing that is not relying on another Satchidananda in order to be. And if there is another Satchidananda, what will that be? That will also have to rely on one more Atma. That we cannot have. So we have to stop right here and say, this is the only thing that there is. The buck stops here. The argumentation stops here. Okay, you are the only one. Then what is what is the nature of this Jagat? It is dependent on consciousness. You know, this becomes like a rote understanding. Yeah, it's dependent on consciousness. Yeah, big deal, it's dependent on consciousness. But then, what does that really mean, dependent on consciousness? And wasn't consciousness having enough to do that it came and created the Jagat? And wait a minute, isn't consciousness non-acting? Is simply being. Being, it sustains everything. So how did this Jagat come into being? This question is answered already in verses 4 and 5, and then from verse 5 onwards we have a deeper understanding of what Maya Shakti is, because the intervening as though power, which is also Mithya, is Maya Shakti. From the standpoint of Maya Shakti, we say Bhagavati, goddess. We can worship Ishvara as Bhagavati. Feminine, no problem. We don't have a problem saying Bhagavan is mother of the universe. No problem, it's all the same. Bhagavan is father of the universe. No problem. Father and mother, no problem. From the standpoint of itself, Satchidanandam Brahma, it is worshipped as Ishvara, the intelligence behind this universe. And from the standpoint of Shakti, it is seen as the creative power behind the universe. And then the creative power cannot go rogue and act by itself. It is incomplete without the intelligence to inform it, and the intelligence, also coded as the knowledge, is not independent of the creative power, because what are you going to do with knowledge? All knowledge. Then no use. That all knowledge needs a Shakti to activate it in the form of all that is seen, like flower knowledge, river knowledge, mountain knowledge, how the anatomy functions, the anatomical order, all these orders, anatomical order, physiological order, botanical order, all these orders are there because of the presence of Shakti. The knowledge by itself cannot do anything. The Shakti by itself also cannot do anything. And so there is a combination. But what kind of a combination? An inextricable combination, but at the same time where the Shakti is inextricable from Bhagavan. Bhagavan can be without Shakti. How? As you, Satchidananda. This is what has to be understood. The Shakti is not a parallel reality to Brahman. It cannot be. It cannot be a parallel reality to Brahman. Why cannot it be a parallel reality to Brahman? For the same reason that there is Anantyahani. Anantyahani means the limitlessness must not be affected. If Shakti becomes one more reality, then we have to, and one more Satyam. Two Satyams are there. That means what? You can say Satyam, Jnanam, but you cannot say Anantam. You won't be able to say Anantam at all. Please turn this one also on. So, you cannot say Anantam. You can say only Satyam, Jnanam. Why? Because if there are two, one becomes limited by the presence of the other. This is what happens in every marriage. We have seen that. Now, one becomes limited by the presence of the other. So, this way, this Satyam Jnanam Anantam, Satchidananda, this has to be the only Satyam. It cannot be Maya Shakti, the creative power, that who is all knowledge in terms of specifics and who is all ready to create, who is also the raw material, cannot be a separate or a parallel reality to Bhagavan. Cannot be a parallel reality to Bhagavan. Therefore what? It has to be independent. Bhagavan is alone independent. Maya is what? Dependent on Bhagavan. From this, you cannot come to the conclusion, therefore, Maya, woman, Ishvara, man. Therefore, woman has to be dependent on man. This is not the correct conclusion. Here, the feminine and the masculine are just aupacharika. Upachara. It is just because the word Maya is feminine. And creation is associated with feminine power. Ishvara, the word is masculine. In fact, Brahman, the word is neuter. So, neuter plus feminine can never give masculine. But this is how the whole thing is. And the Upanishad is very, very careful that we don't take this Maya and Ishvara to be masculine and feminine, male and female, and then try to put it in our everyday vyavahara. The Upanishad is very, very careful. Therefore, there are a lot of gender benders that we find. And in the Chandogya Upanishad, in the 6th chapter, Saha Atma, masculine here, and then suddenly he says, the teacher in the Chandogya Upanishad says, Tisro Devataha, feminine. These Imaha Devataha, these Devas, Devis in the form of the elements. The three elements are discussed in the form of Devi. Amazing it is. In the Kathopanishad also, Purushatna Param Kinchit. There is nothing greater than Purusha. Purusha is in the masculine gender. Then suddenly there is a gender bender. Sa Kashtha, Sa Paragatihi. Sa means she. How did he become she? He did not become she. It's neither he nor she, which manifests as both he and she while being neither. That is how we have to understand. So Maya is not an alternative reality. Maya is not a parallel reality. Maya is not a feminine reality. Ishvara is not a masculine reality. The power of Ishvara is also mithya. The power that is Ishvara is mithya because this is what bestows Brahman with Ishvaratvam, Ishvaraness. Ishvaraness is mithya, Jivahood, Jivaness is mithya, and then mithya means dependent reality. And so this feminine power which endows Brahman, equips Brahman to create, to sustain and take back the Jagat also has to be what? Mithya. It cannot be Satyam, there is only one Satyam, and it cannot brook any competition or any other. Satyam cannot be there if it needs to be limitless. And so, to this end, there is a discussion of this Prakriti, and from the standpoint of Ishvara, Brahman as Ishvara, Jagat Karanam Brahma. So, first it is said that, it is said in verse number 7, Sarvabhutani mamikam prakritim yanti. Mamikam prakritim yanti means they go to the unmanifest. This Maya Shakti is twofold power. One is manifest power, the other is unmanifest power. Where is the unmanifest power? That from which the manifest power comes is unmanifest power, and that unmanifest power you cannot see, you cannot objectify. Why? Because that is there only in between cycles of creation. Where does Maya go? You cannot say it is destroyed. Why? Because it was never born to begin with. It is beginningless, and it is there, and then it is latent. In between cycles of creation, what is there is only Ishvara in the form of Satchidanandam Brahma. Only Brahman is there, and then when the creation gets ready to be put forth, then what is there? Maya Shaktis, the latent power gets quote unquote activated in the form of raw materials. The raw materials and the manifest Jagat is called the visible power of Maya, and then the Shakti which goes into dormancy in between cycles of creation is called the latent Shakti of Maya. That is what it is. And this is explained very nicely in the 15th chapter. Dvau imau purushau. Dvavimau purushau. Like this we will see. One is called Kshara Purusha. Everything is Purusha. Kshara Purusha means that which gets destroyed. Like all the things in the universe, they are not there. They keep getting born and destroyed, born and destroyed. Kshara Purusha. And then Kutasthaha Aksharaha iti uchyate. Then there is Akshara Purusha. This Akshara Purusha is the latent Maya. Latent Maya. Kutasthaha Kutilayam Gatau. Meaning it is very difficult to ascertain its how it comes, where it is, where it's going. It's very difficult. She is a trickster in that sense. And then will the real Purusha please stand up? Uttamah Purushaha tu Anyaha. That which is the ultimate, which has to be known as myself, is other than Kshara Akshara. Paramatma iti udahritah. It is known as Paramatma. And what is that Paramatma? Atma, myself alone. Bibharti Ishvaraha. This Paramatma is Ishvara. Bibharti, sustains. Here also Bhuta Bhrit. From this Bhrit only Bibharti comes. Bhuta Bhrit. I am the sustainer. Sustainer means I am not actively sustaining, just by my presence. I am lending my presence to everything. So this, now that we have known the twofold aspects of Maya and also the twofold powers of Maya to project and to cover, we have seen that in a different context. We can see that Bhagavan is going to say later on, Maya Dhyakshena Prakritihi Suyate Sacharacharam. What number is that? Yeah, just show some, do some homework, classwork. So, Maya Dhyakshena Prakritihi 10. So, verse number 10 says this, Maya Dhyakshena Prakritihi Suyate Sacharacharam Hetunanena Kaunteya Jagad Viparivartate. Yeah, beautiful. And it sums up this whole discussion we have been having, that Maya Adhyakshena. Adhyaksha means what? The one who is in charge. So the knowledge that is there, and what is this knowledge if you ask? It is simply about how the last cycle of creation was. How was the last cycle of creation? Perfect, wonderful. Ishvara doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. Ishvara does not edit and abridge. Has a discussion with Maya. You know, last time what we did was not good. So this time we have to do better. Let's remove those jivas and let's bring in new jivas. Is that possible? Because who are jivas? Ishvara. Ishvaras with a big complex. Ishvara with lot of complaints. Ishvara plus alienation is equal to jiva. So you cannot say bring in new jivas, nothing. So then, Maya Adhyakshena, the Adhyaksha here is this Adhyakshatvam, is in the form of knowledge. And this is all knowledge, including the knowledge of how the last cycle of creation was there. And simply that is as though conjured up effortlessly, like even your dream. Your dream, the raw material for your dream is memory and desire, which you wield to spin forth a magnificent universe which you enjoy in the dream state. And whereas Ishvara, for Ishvara, there is no memory, there is no desire, there is no head. That's why. Ishvara is all knowledge which cannot be fit into a head. Therefore, Ishvara doesn't have a head. Okay? So therefore, what is whose memory is it? Whose desire is it? We are forced to say it is Jiva's desire. Why? Because then the question of why was this Jagat created, this is a very funny question, and Adi Shankara writes a lot of bhashya here and says this is an untenable question. He dismisses the question why was the Jagat created, because for every jnani there is no Jagat. It's all oneself alone. It's the self that is manifest into many so-called names and forms without really being any one thing. So therefore, for the jnani doesn't look upon the Jagat as something to ask questions about. Kab hua, kyon hua, ye kya hua, kaise hua, like that old movie song is there. So all this is not there. Not at all there. It is not some kind of a thing to be accounted for. Like when you look back, you're walking in the sun and you look back and see what? Shadow? Do you say, ye kya hua, kaise hua, kab hua, kyo hua? You don't ask those questions. Where did this come from? How long it was there? How did it come? Why did this shadow come? You just walk and the shadow walks along with you, and that just about sums up the relationship between Bhagavan and the Jagat. And then there are many darshanas, even in ancient India. Some of them are Veda Bhashyaha, and some of them are inside the Veda itself. Some of them are outside the Veda, trying to account for the Jagat. Like the Sankhya system of philosophy. And what does the Sankhya system say? Sankhya system says there is Prakriti, same word that we have encountered here. Prakriti is there, Purusha is there, but Purusha has washed his hands off Prakriti, poor thing. She is doing the housework, she is cooking, she is cleaning, she is taking care of the babies, and then she is doing everything. Terrible marriage, horrible. We don't say that. We say the Purushas. The Purusha means here Ishvara. Ishvara is not unconnected to the Jagat. Ishvara is not connected to the Jagat either. That's why the word Adhyaksha has been used in a kind of the connection is an as though connection in a presiding capacity. And because of this presiding capacity, the Jagat is there, and then we can say Bhagavan is the Nimitta Karana. And the presiding capacity is also there in a Bhagavan is not only there in a presiding capacity, is also there in a pervading capacity. So the combination of the presiding and the pervading capacity, we say Vivarta Upadana Karanam. That which is both the efficient cause, the raw material is also Bhagavan, and the intelligence, the knowledge behind the Jagat is also what? Bhagavan. Everywhere Bhagavan. So this presiding is also Mithya, the pervading is also Mithya, all that is there is Satchidanandam Brahma. This is what we have to see. So, Adi Shankara in this section discusses and dismisses various reasons why the Jagat was created. Jagat is for bhoga. Bhoga means experience, enjoying. So the question is, whose bhoga? Because there is bhogya vastus are there, so many objects of enjoyment are there, that cannot be denied. So many things are there. That is why Vedanta becomes difficult. Otherwise, everybody would be only studying Vedanta, but one cannot and one should not also. Why? Because the readiness, when it comes, then only the Vedanta will go in. Otherwise, the Jagat becomes a place of enjoyment, and with some, what is that called? With some maturity, the Jagat can become a place of preparation. So then, what is this Jagat for? So the first theory is it is for Bhoga. Then, in the first theory only, the question arises, whose Bhoga? Whose Bhoga? So Ishvara is the creator. So is it for Swabhoga? Is it for Ishvara's own Bhoga? Then we have to quickly remember, Ishvara is, who is this Bhagavan? What is one of the Bhagas? Samagram Vairagyam. It's like a person who is on a gluten free, what else? What other free? Meat free, fish free, egg free, and then grain free, vegetable free, taste free diet. Okay? In fact, the person is a fresh airian, does not eat anything, lives off of fresh air. And this person has cooked a 10-course meal. You ask, what for? So Swabhoga doesn't come into the picture because the person cannot do Bhoga. Here, Ishvara need not do Bhoga because everything being non-separate from Ishvara, there is no person to do Bhoga. Besides, Ishvara is what? Complete Vairagya towards the universe. So whose Bhoga? You can't say Ishvara Bhoga. This is also discussed at length in the first Karika, first chapter of the Mandukya Karika. Very beautiful. And they are called, such people who indulge in these questions, the grand guru of Adi Shankara calls them Srishti Chintakaha, people who contemplate not on the Atma but on the universe. Srishti Chintakaha. So, Swabhogaya iti vadanti iti kathayanti Srishti Chintakaha. Oh, Ishvara wanted to do some bhoga. So therefore, Ishvara made this Jagat. Just like I wanted to have mango shake, so I made a mango shake. It cannot be. Why? Ishvara has full Vairagya, so that theory, cross it out, put it on the side. Then the next one is, why did Ishvara create the universe? Next theory is for the sake of Leela. Leela. Leela yai, Swaleela yai, for the sake of Ishvara's own, Leela means amusement here. It should be translated as amusement. So Ishvara is getting amused at whose cost? Huh? At your cost. Here you are suffering and Ishvara is saying, Encore, Talia. Oh, that person just finished the 7.5-year cycle. Let's put him or her in Rahu Mahadasha also simultaneously. Let's see what happens then. This is what, then Ishvara would have what is called a fallacy, Nairghrinya dosha, which in the second chapter itself, Adi Shankara in the Bhashya dismisses Nairghrinya dosha. What is this Nairghrinya word other than the fact that it's nice to keep on saying? Nairghrinya means Dvesha. The one who has Dvesha is not Ishvara. Samagram Vairagyam means free of preferences and prejudices. Even though one may feel targeted by Ishvara, that is not what is happening. That is not what is happening at all. So, therefore, if Ishvara created this world for amusement, to once in a while go there as Rama, Krishna, Buddha, and then dance, meditate and fight wars, and then come back, then it would be a universe that is what? Custom made for Ishvara's amusement, and which I don't find amusing at all. Because we as jivas become the pawn of Ishvara's amusement. It's like a cat and mouse game. The cat will catch the mouse and then injure it, give it a little bash, and then wait. Wait till it shows again some signs of recovery and some signs of life, and then it will claw at it again. This is what the cat does. And so therefore, this cannot be, this absolute cannot be the intention. And so therefore what? So therefore, this is not for Ishvara's amusement, this is not for Ishvara's bhoga, and then what? And then must be for who else? Jiva. Must be for the Jiva. It cannot be for Ishvara. Two theories gone. And then the third theory is what? It must be for the Jiva. Then if you are a Jnani, you will say, what Jiva? First you will say, what Jagat? And then you will say, what Jiva? Because the cataract of division, cataract of the vision of division having dropped from the eyes, because you have woken up to this knowledge, you see the Jagat as nothing but yourself, you see the Jivas as nothing but yourself alone. So there is no Jiva, there is no Jagat, and all that is there is Ishvara as you as Ishvara. So therefore, ultimately this third theory, that it is for the sake of the Jiva, to prepare oneself for Vedanta, or to prepare or to exhaust the karmas. All this, ultimately these definitions do not work. These theories also do not work, because all three theories are based on the separation between Jiva and Ishvara, between separation between Jiva and the Jagat also. These theories cannot work, because here is a vision that brooks no division, no separation. But yet we are stubborn. Yes, we are very, very stubborn, and we continue to say that the Jagat is for the sake of the Jivas, in order to exhaust the karma phala. Some kind of a bhumi is required, some kind of a surface is required, and according to one's karmas, one has certain experiences, one has certain enquiries, and then this is how the life is led. So this has become this theory has an abiding presence in the minds of everyone, including the people who are authors of Vedanta. So in a way, it's an interim or a working definition of why the working reason of why the Jagat exists. It is a working reason, but it is not to be talked of as the ultimate reason. Ultimate reason is what? Adi Shankara will ask, why are you asking this question? Why are you asking this question? Because if you are asking this question means what? You don't know that you and the Jagat, there is no such thing as Jagat other than you don't know. Patha Vedantam, that's all you have to say. Study Vedanta, don't be in the trap of this question. This question is nothing but a big trap. And if it is a big trap, then you don't have to this thing. You don't have to come under this spell, because the more you entertain various answers to this question, the more delusional one becomes, naturally. Ishvara's Leela, so then we dress up Bhagavan as Rama, Krishna and all these things, and then marry them also. Now marriages here are itself, difficult to sustain. And then what? Then they have very interesting to watch actually. So they will do Kalyanam, Rukmini Kalyanam. Rukmini is getting married to Krishna. There will be one idol of Rukmini and an idol of Krishna. And the two priests, both are men. And then what are they doing? One says, I am Rukmini, and then invokes Rukmini in himself. The other says, I am Krishna, and invokes Krishna in himself. And then they exchange garlands and all these things. So, and then they say, this is Leela. Sita Kalyanam, Rukmini Kalyanam, Sita's wedding, and then they'll have. And then the guests, all the guests who come, they will take sides. I am on goddess Sita's side. No, I am on Rama's side. And then they have a good time, eat well, and then what? Stay out of trouble for 3 hours and then go home. That's all it is. Because as long as you are in the quote-unquote marriage hall, then at least you are saying some Bhagavan's names and all these things are there, and then you are staying out of trouble. And so therefore here, this has to be properly understood. We can't even say, theory number 4, we cannot say that Jagat is useless and purposeless. Because the non-existent is neither purposeful nor purposeless. What is the use of the horns of the rabbit? Can I say it is useful? No. Can I say it is useless? No. That which is non-existent, I don't have to have the pressure of finding out what is its purpose. Or I don't have the pressure to prove that it is useless. Of course it is useless because it is not even existent. How can you say it is useless? Because how can you say it is useful? And again, from its own standpoint, why am I having the pressure to say it is useless when it doesn't even exist? The question of purposefulness and uselessness only comes for an existent thing, not for a non-existent thing. And we have to prepare the mind to see the Jagat as what? Neither purposeful nor useless, neither existent nor non-existent. This is the definition of mithya. When we say it is existent, it is from a certain standpoint. From a certain standpoint we say it is existent. Immediately we have to say that we have to edit ourselves and say what? It is a dependent existence dependent upon Brahman. Maya adhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam jagat. Hetuna anena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. Jagat viparivartate means because of this reason, anena hetuna. This reason the world keeps moving. The world keeps moving, shaking and changing. Why? I am the knowledge which is as though supporting this as though universe, effortlessly. I am this Satchidananda existence. And then, therefore, the jiva does not recognize, therefore, two other things were said. One is that, therefore, verse number 9, Nachamam tani karmani limpanti nibadhanti. Why? Udasina avadasinam asaktam teshu karmasu. I am just a witness to this prakriti. Udasina, avadasina, I am unconnected and indifferent to its goings on. I am indifferent in the sense of total vairagya. I do not have an agenda for the Jagat. I do not have an agenda for the jivas. That's why moksha becomes a purushartha. What is purushartha? That which is a will-based pursuit. Moksha becomes a will-based pursuit. It is not dispensed by Bhagavan. You are saved, whereas you over here, you are saved, you over there, you are condemned. All the people outside the room who are not studying Vedanta, all the people outside the ashram, condemned. All the people within the ashram, saved. We don't have this kind of a nonsense. Bhagavan does not dispense the punya based on the whims of Bhagavan and Bhagavati. Oh, this one did one extra mala yesterday, give him something. Oh, she did extra puja, give her something. This is not there at all. Udasina avadasinavat. That's what? Asaktam teshu karmasu. And this is exactly how the jnani also leads her or his life in the universe, does not micromanage anybody and does not tell them what to do, what not to do, etc. Leaves them to be whatever they are. Why? Because the free will has already been given along with the body, mind, sense complex. The human jivas at least have a unbridled free will with which you can do whatever you want. You can choose to pursue this knowledge, you need not pursue this knowledge. Therefore, moksha is not dispensed with a sleight of hand. Here, have moksha, have some moksha. It's not like that at all. And why is it not like that? Because it is not something that I am looking to. I am not looking to give moksha to the people and to give bondage to some others. No. I am just about barely connected with the universe. I am there in a kind of a supervisory capacity, or I am there in a pervading capacity, in a presiding capacity, and in either of those capacities there is no micromanagement, there is no involvement. In a presiding capacity, I just preside over whatever happens, like the king presides, without trying to micromanage what is happening in every principality with every subject whichever is there. No. General presiding happens, and then in the pervading capacity also, I cannot micromanage. Why? Because I am the actionless Brahman, Sat Chit Ananda. So both in the pervading capacity and in the presiding capacity, I am Udasina, I am Avadasina. I am indifferent and barely connected, mostly unconnected with this universe of names and forms. And then, and the free will which is there for the human beings is also built into this framework of the Jagat. And so, Nachamam earlier it was said in the 3rd chapter, Nachamam karmani limpanti name karma phale spriha iti yo ma bhijanati karma bhihi sanabadhyate. Same thing is repeated here. And what is said here is that Nachamam karmani nibadhnanti kaunteya. Na karmani nibadhnanti. Nibadhnanti means they don't bind me. And then what? Because I am free. I am unconnected to the karmas and I am free of the karma. This Bhagavan can say, this Ajnani can also say. What is the difference between Ajnani and Ajnani? Kartritva buddhi is not there for the Jnani. That is what is the difference. Jnani and Ajnani, both of them, let's say, have a thought. What is the Ajnani will keep fluttering like a fish out of water. With a fish which has been taken out of water, it will just fight for its life, and the Ajnani will keep cannot tolerate the thought. Why? Oh my God, I had a bad thought. Oh my God, I had a terrible thought. Oh my God, what's happening to me? I thought I was a Vedanta student and I'm having all these thoughts. What is the thought? Well, some thought, some difficult thought involving somebody else. Maybe the thought is, I wish I could nicely bash them up. The thought came, and then the Ajnani spends 3 days in guilt. Or the thought came, that person is going to bash me up. Of course, they don't like me. And then the Ajnani spends 3 days in hurt. Why? Because the ownership of that thought has been taken on. Kartritva buddhi and bhoktritva buddhi have been taken on as myself alone, as my own definition, because of which suffering takes place. And because of this suffering, the person completely falls apart. This is Ajnani. And what does the Jnani do? The Jnani says, the thought is because of Prakriti, not because of me. Prakriti is what? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas are there, and then whatever happens, happens. And then thought comes, thought goes. I am not this thought. There is no ownership of the thought, and there is no ownership of being the agent of the thought either. So this is what it is. So because in the 8th chapter in the 8th verse he said, Kritsnam avasham bhutagramamimam prakriter vashat visrijami. My own prakriti I create, and this prakriti has its own force. And this force is, of course, presided over by me, pervaded by me, but I am not in charge of this force in the sense of micromanaging the force. So therefore, thoughts may come, thoughts may go. The Jnani will just say, that was a thought. I did not really bash up this person. this was a thought. I did not get bashed up by this person. That awareness being there, this is this is what is the problem between Ajnani and the Ajnani. That's why the connection between the Jagat and Ishvara is pointed out as Mithya and Satyam, while the Jagat is not separate from Ishvara. Ishvara is not part and parcel, has not become the Jagat. Therefore, Vivarta Upadana Karanam. Vivarta means Vividham Vartate. Without undergoing any change, the whole universe has come. Without Bhagavan undergoing any change. 11th one, Avajananti Mam Mudhaha Manushim Tanumashritam Param Bhavamajanantah Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram Moghasha Mogha Karmanah Moghajnana Vichetasah Rakshasi Masurimschaiva Prakritim Mohinim Shritaha Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha Bhajantyananya Manasaha Jnatva Bhutadim Avyayam. Avajananti Mam Mudhaha Manushim Tanum Ashritam. Avajananti means they know me wrongly. They know me wrongly as a guy in the sky. Bhagavan is someone outside of this universe. They fail to recognize me as the truth of themselves, living very much in their own body, mind, sense complex. I have taken recourse to the human body, human mind, human senses. I am presiding and pervading the human body. I am the indweller of this body, mind, sense complex. Nobody sees unless they are coming under the instruction of Vedanta. Otherwise, they are under the spell of Prakriti. Under the spell of Prakriti, when you take Prakriti to be self-standing and real, then what happens? The Bhagavan as the indweller, the Ishvara within, is not recognized. You look for Bhagavan up there. You point to the sky as though it is outside of the scheme of things. And so like this, Param Bhavam Ajanantah. They don't know. They don't know my ultimate nature is what? Satchidananda. That Ishvara, which is the Satchidananda, the presiding presence in all. This part, the pervading presence in all, this they don't know. What do? They go with the presiding capacity, and this abiding capacity, this presiding capacity also they don't understand properly, and they do some kind of a hierarchical relationship between themselves and Ishvara, and then they are either afraid of Ishvara or they deny Ishvara, or they are not wanting to understand this Ishvara, or they don't understand it pure and simple. And very few people are able to see me in the pervading capacity, as pervading the very body, mind, sense complex that is complaining there is no Ishvara. What Ishvara? I don't believe in this Ishvara. Why Ishvara? The one that is having all these questions, the one who is having all these questions is what? Ishvara. This they don't understand. Why? Because there are some things in the way. They come under the spell of Maya, means they don't come under the spell of Maya, who is all knowledge for Ishvara. They come under the spell of Maya, means Avarana Shakti, their own ignorance. Maya for the beings is Avarana, ignorance. They come under the spell of self-ignorance and then they suffer. So what are these people? They are to be pitied. They are to be pitied because they have gone far away, not from me. What have they gone far away? From the truth of themselves. Because I, Ishvara, am the truth of themselves, they have become totally alienated from me. So they are moghashaha. They have various, because since they have become alienated from me, they don't listen to any inner voice or inner guidance that I could provide in the form of their own buddhi. That buddhi is the sarathi. We see this in the Kathopanishad. Buddhi is the sarathi. Sarathi means what? The driver. Buddhi is the driver. Buddhi is the inner guru, and in the picture depicting the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is holding the reins of the horses, which are the sense organs. The reins are the mind. Arjuna is the jiva here, and Lord Krishna is the buddhi turning to face the jiva and give it upadesha. So they don't listen to that inner voice, which is me alone. They refuse to be guided. Why? Because of the self-ignorance. There is a mounting pressure of all kinds of desires, because the self-ignorance makes them feel useless, purposeless, small, all these things. So therefore, what do? They overcompensate by having their own agenda. Since the creative power in them is me alone, I let that agenda be, because what else can I do? And this agenda is fine as long as it's in keeping with dharma and anything and everything. But most of the time it is not in keeping with dharma because of the pressure to fulfill certain things. So many desires are there. The pressure to fulfill the desires make people go away from dharma. So they are called, such people are called moghashaha. Mogha means useless. Those with a useless mountain of desires. And the useless mountain of desire people, what do? What do they become? Mogha karmanaha. Everything they do is also useless, because it really doesn't end up furthering their viveka, their vairagya. It doesn't bring them closer to me as themselves. It in fact makes them go further away from me. Moghajnanaha. So whatever knowledge they collect, how to pick a pocket very efficiently without the other person knowing, how to rob a bank, how to rob jewels from a museum, and how to make off with the crown jewels, all this kind of knowledge that they may accumulate are what? Moghajnanaha they become. They become a plethora of useless knowledge. Vichetasaha, deluded completely, whose heart is not with them. The heart has been stolen away, hijacked. Dharma has been hijacked. And so what happens? They take recourse, ashritaha. They take recourse to what? Rakshasim prakritim, asurim prakritim. Meaning they behave like Rakshasas. They behave like Rakshasas. This is a danger. We have seen already in the 7th chapter also we saw this, and in the 3rd chapter also we saw this. Even though the word asura was used only in the 7th chapter first time, and then now second time here, and this is going to be talked about in detail in the 16th chapter. Rakshasim asurim prakritim chaiva mohinim prakritim ashritaha. Mohinim prakritim means they take recourse to delusional thoughts, delusional way of beings. They are just this shy of committing something unlawful. Why? Because of the force of the desires. What kind of desires? Desires that take them away from dharma. That kind of desires which are not in keeping with dharma. This is what happens when this Bhagavan in the presiding capacity of Satchidananda, which is the truth of every being, is not known. And then by contrast, because if these are the people who do not study Vedanta, who are not interested in anything other than just wish fulfillment, desire fulfillment, who are they? By contrast, they are Mahatmas. noble-hearted ones, noble life ones, who have taken recourse to a spiritual temperament, daivim prakritim ashritaha. And what do? Bhajanti ananya manasaha. They worship me as the truth of themselves. They worship me as the truth of themselves, and ananya manasaha. And then how do they know me? Having known me, jnatva bhutadim avyayam. They know me as the avyaya, that which never comes to an end, the indeclinable, imperishable cause of the universe. They know me as themselves, as the imperishable cause of the universe. They are bhajanti, means sevante. They are committed to me. Bhaja sevayam. One more meaning is there. Bhaja is not just doing bhajan. Sevante. Sevante means they take recourse to me. They are totally committed to me, committed to knowing me as the truth of themselves. This is how they understand me. This is who the people who haven't taken to an adharmic life because they have not understood Ishvara, and then as the truth of themselves. Then what else do they do? They are dridhavrataha. Their commitment cannot be taken away. Satatam kirtayantaha maam yatantascha dridhavrataha namasyantascha maam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. They seek me with devotion. They seek the truth of me because they are always connected with me, because they are wanting to know not the truth of me, the truth of themselves. And then there are some more verses that talk about the presiding. So having talked about the pervading aspect of Bhagavan, then the presiding aspect is also talked about. Pervading aspect means what? The Satchidananda, the Swarupa Lakshana. Presiding aspect means Tatastha Lakshana. This is also what is called the Ishvara. Ishvara in the form of connected to the Jagat, as though connected to the Jagat, the overlord of all the laws, etc., which are non-separate from Ishvara. That capacity, who am I, etc., is next talked about. Let us chant 16. Aham kraturaham yajnah Swadhahamaham aushadham Mantrohamahame Ahamagniraham hutam Pitahamasya jagatah Mata dhata pitamaha Vedyam pavitram onkaraha Riksamayajureva cha Gatir bharta prabhu sakshi Nivasam sharanam suhrit Prabhavav pralayasthanam Nidhanam bijam avyayam Tapamyahamaham varsham Nigrinham srijami cha Amritan chaiva mrityuscha Sadasachaham arjuna. Tune change notification. Traividya mam somapah putapapah Yajnairištva swargatim prarthayante Te punyamasadya surendra lokam Ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan ते त्वं भुक्त्वा स्वर्गलोकं विशालम् क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकं विशन्ति एवं त्रयी धर्ममनुप्रपन्नाः गतागतं कामकामा लभन्ते अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो माम् ये जनाः पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम्. We'll see this tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.